Chapter 10. Sparring. 3 days after the assessment, Yung Hao approached Wei Chen with a proposition. "Train with me." Wei Chen looked up from the shadow exercises he'd been practicing in the temple's side courtyard. Yun Hao stood a respectful distance away, hands behind his back, expression serious. "Train how?" "Sparring. Technique exchange. My tutor says competition is the best teacher." Yun Hao stepped closer. Elder Shen approved supervised sessions if we're both interested. Non-lethal, obviously, just practice. Wei Chen considered this. On one hand, training with someone stronger would accelerate his growth. On the other, it felt like charity, the noble extending generosity to the commoner. But then, pride was expensive, and Wei Chen couldn't afford expensive luxuries. When? Tomorrow, after temple lessons. Elder Shen will supervise. All right. Yun Hao smiled, genuine, without condescension. Good. Bring your best techniques. He left, and Wei Chen returned to his practice, mind already calculating. Yun Hao was better, objectively, measurably better, which meant Wei Chen would lose, but losing could still be profitable if he learned something. Everything's a transaction, Merchant Lu had said. The question is whether the price is worth the gain. Wei Chen would make this worth it. The next day's temple lesson felt longer than usual. Wei Chen kept glancing at the sun's position, tracking time. Finally, Elder Shen dismissed them. The other students filed out. Yun Hao and Wei Chen remained. Elder Shen studied them both. "You understand the rules?" "Yes, Elder," they said in unison. "No techniques that cause permanent damage. No attacks above the shoulders. Stop immediately when I command." Elder Shen's gaze was sharp. "This is training, not combat. Understood?" "Yes, Elder." "Good. Begin when ready." They faced each other in the center of the temple hall, 10 paces apart. Wei Chen's shadow stretched behind him, dark and patient. Yun Hao stood relaxed, confident without arrogance. "Ready?" Yun Hao asked. Wei Chen nodded. Yun Hao moved first. Water condensed from the air instantly, faster than Wei Chen expected, and formed into a whip-like tendril. It lashed out, aiming for Wei Chen's legs. Wei Chen's shadow reacted. He pulled it upward into a wall, intercepting the water. The techniques collided, spraying droplets across the stone. Yun Hao didn't pause. The water whip dissolved and reformed into 3 smaller streams, attacking from different angles simultaneously. Multi-directional control, Wei Chen realized, like my shadow technique but with water. He split his focus. His own shadow divided into 3 defensive tendrils, meeting each water stream. The exchanges were rapid: block, deflect, counter. Wei Chen's core burned with effort. Yun Hao pressed harder. 4 water streams now. 5. Wei Chen couldn't match it. His control slipped. One water stream broke through his defense and struck his ankle, wrapping around it and pulling. Wei Chen stumbled. His concentration shattered. The shadow defenses collapsed. Yun Hao's water formed into a sphere around Wei Chen's feet, immobilizing him. "Yield?" Yun Hao asked, not mockingly, just asking. Wei Chen tested the water. Solid. He couldn't break it without exhausting himself completely. "Yield." The water released immediately. Wei Chen stepped back, breathing hard. "Good defense," Yun Hao said. "Your shadow wall technique is fast. I almost intercepted in time." "Not fast enough." "Fast enough to matter." Yun Hao gestured. "Again?" They sparred 4 more times. Wei Chen lost every round, but each loss taught him something. Round 2. Yun Hao demonstrated water sensing, detecting movement through moisture in the air. Wei Chen's shadow concealment didn't work because Yun Hao wasn't tracking visually. Weakness identified. Darkness relies on sight. Opponents with alternate senses counter it. Round 3. Wei Chen tried aggressive shadow manipulation, multiple attacks from different angles. Yun Hao created a rotating water shield that deflected everything. Lesson: defense can be active. Movement creates protection. Round 4. Wei Chen feinted with shadows, then attacked from an unexpected angle. Yun Hao still blocked it, but slower. The feint had worked partially. Insight: deception works even against superior opponents. Imperfect success is still success. Round 5. Wei Chen pushed his limits. 15 shadows attacking simultaneously while he used concealment to reposition. Yun Hao struggled briefly before overwhelming Wei Chen's defenses through sheer technique superiority. Truth: gap is narrowing. Yun Hao had to work harder that round. After the final round, both were breathing heavily. Wei Chen's core felt like burning ice, depleted and aching. Yun Hao looked tired but not exhausted. Elgar Shan approached. "Enough for today. Wei Chen, your adaptability is commendable. You adjusted tactics between rounds. Yun Hao, your control remains exceptional, but you relied on technique superiority rather than strategy. Both have areas to improve." They bowed. Elder Shen left, giving them space. Wei Chen sat against a pillar, recovering. Yun Hao joined him, maintaining respectful distance. "You're better than I expected," Yun Hao said. "I lost every round. But you made me work for it. Round 5 especially. I had to use advanced techniques to win. 6 months ago you couldn't have pushed me that far." Wei Chen acknowledged this with a nod. Progress was progress. "Your shadow feint in round 4 was clever," Yun Hao continued. "Where did you learn that?" "I didn't. I improvised." "Improvised?" Yun Hao looked impressed. "That's unusual. Most mages follow established patterns. You create new ones." "Because I don't know the established ones." Wei Chen smiled slightly. "No private tutor means no taught strategies. Everything I do is improvised." "That's actually an advantage," Yun Hao leaned back. "My tutor teaches proven techniques, which is good, but it also makes me predictable to anyone who knows those techniques. You? Nobody knows what you'll do because you don't know until you do it." Wei Chen filed that away. Unpredictability as strength. Interesting perspective. "Want to know something?" Yun Hao asked. "What?" "I requested this sparring specifically because you're the only one who challenges me here. The other temple students are competent but safe, predictable. You're different. You think differently, fight differently." "Because I'm desperate." "Because you're hungry. Desperation makes people sloppy. Hunger makes them sharp. You're sharp, Wei Chen. That's worth respecting." Wei Chen didn't know how to respond to that. Compliments from Yun Hao felt genuine, but also uncomfortable, like being acknowledged by someone standing on higher ground. "Thank you," Wei Chen said finally. "Don't thank me, just keep pushing." Yun Hao stood, offering his hand. "Same time next week?" Wei Chen took the hand and pulled himself up. "Yes." They parted ways. Wei Chen watched Yun Hao leave, that composed, confident stride of someone who'd never questioned their place in the world. "Someday," Wei Chen thought, "I'll walk like that too." That evening, Wei Chen reviewed the sparring sessions in his mind while working at Merchant Lu's stall. 5 rounds, 5 losses, but 5 lessons learned. Water sensing countered visual stealth. Active defense was stronger than static defense. Feints worked. Unpredictability was valuable. The gap was closing. "You look thoughtful," Lu observed, organizing inventory. "Sparred today. Lost. Learn anything?" "Yes." "Then it wasn't really a loss." Lu set down a fake enchanted amulet. Losing teaches more than winning. Winners become complacent. Losers adapt. Wei Chen nodded, arranging trinkets on display. Lu watched him work for a moment, then asked casually, "What are you saving for?" Wei Chen's hands paused. "What?" "The money. You've worked here 6 months, never spent a copper. Everything goes into that pouch you hide under your bed." Lu's smile was knowing. "I'm a merchant. I notice these things. So what's the goal?" Wei Chen considered lying, but Lu already knew he was saving. Might as well be honest. Instructor Feng, private combat training. 1 gold, 80 silver for 3 months. Ah, Lu leaned back, understanding crossing his face. Temple lessons aren't enough. They teach control, not fighting. Smart distinction. Lu tapped his fingers on the counter. "How much do you have?" 1 gold, 40 silver. Lu's eyebrows rose. Impressive. That's 40 silver in 6 months, plus whatever your parents contributed. 1 gold. My parents gave me 1 gold when they found out what I was saving for. They can't afford more, but they wanted to help. Good parents. Lu's expression softened slightly. "So you need 40 more silver." "Yes." "At your current rate, that's 4 months?" 3.5 if I take extra jobs. Lu nodded slowly, then smiled. "I have a proposition. Want to hear it?" "Speaking of your goal, you've worked here 6 months now. Proven reliable, smart, discreet. I have a business proposition." "What kind?" "Partnership. Small-scale investment venture." He pulled out a ledger, flipping to a marked page. "I occasionally acquire magical items at estate sales or auctions. Minor artifacts, enchanted tools, nothing legendary. Buy low, sell high. Standard merchant practice." He pointed at numbers. "Problem is, I have limited capital and time. Can't attend every auction, can't bid on everything promising. So opportunities slip away." "And you want me to, what? Bid for you?" "More than that. I want you to invest." Lu's expression was serious now. "You put in money, I put in expertise and connections. We split profits. 70-30. 70 for you? I'm taking the larger risk. I'm the one with reputation on the line, the one negotiating with sellers, the one authenticating items." He leaned forward. "But here's the key, Wei Chen. Your 40 silver? Invested properly, it could become 60 silver in 2 months. Maybe 70 if we're lucky." Wei Chen's mind raced. 40 silver invested, potentially 30 silver profit. But also potentially 40 silver lost if things went wrong. What's the actual risk? Financial only. This is legitimate business, not contraband. Worst case, we buy items that don't resell. We take a loss. You lose some or all of your investment. Lu's tone was matter-of-fact. "But I've been doing this 10 years. I know what sells. My success rate is roughly 70% profitable, 20% break-even, 10% loss. So statistically, I'm likely to profit." "Yes, but statistics aren't guarantees." Lu closed the ledger. "I won't lie to you, Wei Chen. This is risk. Real risk. You could end up with nothing and have to start from scratch." Wei Chen stared at the ledger. Numbers, probabilities, risk versus reward. 40 silver invested, 6 months of his work. His parents' gold plus his own savings. If he lost it all, he'd be back to zero. Feng's training would be a year away instead of months. But if it worked? "I need to think about it," Wei Chen said. "Smart. Take your time. Let me know in 3 days." Lu returned to organizing. "But Wei Chen, remember, fortune favors the bold. Sometimes the safe path is the slowest one." Wei Chen walked home slowly, mind calculating probabilities. Scenario A, safe path. Keep working standard jobs. 3.5 months to save 40 silver. Guaranteed progress, 0 risk. Feng's training starts in 4 months. Scenario B, investment. Risk 40 silver and lose venture. 70% chance of profit, 20 to 30 silver gain. 20% chance of break even, no gain, no loss. 10% chance of loss, lose some or all investment. If successful, Feng's training in 2 months or less. If failure, back to zero, training a year away. Wei Chen's mind approached it like Elder Shen taught, methodically, analytically. Expected value calculation. 70% times 30 silver profit equals 21 silver expected gain. 20% times 0 silver equals 0. 10% times minus 40 silver loss equals minus 4 silver expected loss. Net expected value plus 17 silver. Mathematically, the investment made sense. On average, he'd come out ahead. But mathematics didn't account for need. He needed exactly 40 silver. Coming out ahead on average didn't help if he ended up in that 10% failure category. This wasn't just numbers. This was his parents' gold, their hard-earned savings, given freely because they believed in him. If he lost it, Wei Chen stopped walking, stood in the empty street, thinking. What would Yun Hao do? Yun Hao wouldn't need to invest. Yun Hao's family would just pay for the training, no risk necessary. What would Merchant Liu do? Liu would invest, obviously. He'd calculate odds, manage risk, and act decisively. What would Elder Shen advise? Elder Shen would probably say, patience, discipline, the sure path over the risky one. But Wei Chen wasn't Yun Hao, wasn't Elder Shen either. He was someone trying to close a gap that widened every day his opponents had advantages he didn't. Fortune favors the bold, Liu had said. But boldness without calculation was just recklessness. Wei Chen needed more information, needed to understand exactly what Liu's success rate meant, what items they'd target, what contingencies existed. He'd think about it, sleep on it, ask questions tomorrow. Because this decision mattered, maybe more than any decision he'd made since deciding to work in the first place. 40 silver. His future, his chance. He wouldn't rush it. That night, Wei Chen lay awake, numbers swirling in his head. 70% success, 20% break-even, 10% failure. His parents' gold, his 6 months of work, everything riding on merchants' odds. Is it worth it? He didn't know yet. But he'd decide soon, because standing still wasn't an option either. Chapter 11. The Gamble. Wei Chen spent the first day calculating. He sat in his room with parchment borrowed from Elder Shen, writing out numbers, income rates, success probabilities, timeline comparisons. Safe path, 3.5 months. Investment path, 2 months if successful, 12 months if failure. Expected value, positive. But expected value assumed multiple attempts. Wei Chen only had one. The numbers didn't lie, but they didn't tell the whole truth either. The second day, Wei Chen went to Merchant Liu with questions. What items specifically? Wei Chen asked, standing at Liu's stall during a quiet afternoon. Liu pulled out his ledger, flipping to a marked section. Estate sale next week. Minor noble family, recently deceased patriarch. 3 items I'm interested in. He pointed. Shadow-attuned ring, minor enchantment, helps with darkness manipulation. Market value, 30 silver. Liu's estimate, we could acquire for 20, sell for 35. 5 silver profit on 1 item? If we're lucky. If we're not, we acquire for 25 and sell for 30. Still profit, but smaller. What if we can't sell it? Then we hold it until we find a buyer. Might take months, capital tied up, no immediate return. Liu's tone was matter-of-fact. That's the break-even scenario. Wei Chen absorbed this. The other items. Alchemical tools. Low grade but functional. Easier to sell, smaller profit margin. And a set of beast cores. Risky. Authentication is difficult, fakes are common. So we could buy fakes. Yes, that's the loss scenario. Liu closed the ledger. I'm experienced. My authentication success rate is high, but not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Wei Chen nodded slowly. If we proceed, what's my role? You attend the sale with me. Learn how auctions work. Watch me negotiate. Understand item evaluation. Liu smiled. Consider it education. Whether we profit or not, you'll learn the business. Education, Wei Chen thought. That had value too, separate from silver. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Fair enough. That evening, Wei Chen did something he rarely did. He asked his parents for advice. They sat at the small kitchen table after dinner. His father worked clay absently, hands never truly still. His mother mended clothing, needle moving with practiced efficiency. I need to make a decision, and I want your counsel. Both parents looked up surprised. Wei Chen usually kept his plans private. He explained Liu's proposition, the investment opportunity, the risks and potential rewards, the mathematics and the uncertainties. His father listened silently, shaping clay into a simple bowl. His mother's needle paused halfway through a stitch. When Wei Chen finished, Chenbo spoke first. You're asking if you should risk our gold? Yes. It's not our gold anymore. It's yours. His father's voice was calm. We gave it freely. What you do with it is your choice. But you have an opinion. Chenbo set down the clay, wiping his hands. I do, but I'm a potter, not a merchant. My opinion might not be useful. I want to hear it anyway. His father considered for a long moment. Clay breaks sometimes, even when you do everything right. The kiln temperature shifts, the clay has a hidden flaw, things happen. He gestured at the bowl he'd been shaping. And when that happens, you have two choices. Stop making pottery because you might fail, or accept that failure is part of the craft and keep working. You're saying I should take the risk. I'm saying fear of failure is guaranteed stagnation. Actual failure is just feedback. He smiled slightly. You'll learn either way. The question is whether you can afford the tuition. Wei Chen looked at his mother. And you? Lin Mei set down her sewing. I'm more cautious than your father, always have been. So you think I shouldn't invest? I think you should ask yourself, if you lose everything, can you recover? Not financially, emotionally. Will failure break you or teach you? Wei Chen thought about that. If he lost 40 silver, he'd be angry, frustrated, disappointed. But broken? No. He'd survived being feared and isolated. He'd survived working for copper coins while watching Yun Hao receive everything freely. He'd survived losing 5 sparring rounds in one afternoon. Losing money would hurt, but it wouldn't destroy him. I can recover, Wei Chen said. Then you have your answer. His mother picked up her sewing again. Just remember, we gave you that gold because we believe in you, not because we expect returns. Whatever happens, that doesn't change. Wei Chen felt something tighten in his chest. His parents couldn't give him advantages like Yun Hao's family could, couldn't hire tutors or buy his way into prestigious academies. But they gave what they could: support, trust, belief. That mattered too. Thank you, Wei Chen said quietly. His father returned to his clay, his mother to her stitching. The conversation ended, but the weight of it remained. The next morning, Wei Chen found Merchant Lu at his stall. "I'm in." Lu's smile was approving. "Good. Estate sale is in 4 days. We'll need to scout beforehand, verify item authenticity, plan our bidding strategy." "How much are we investing total?" "Your 40 silver, my 60 silver. 100 silver capital." Lu pulled out documents. "I'll handle the actual bidding. You observe, learn, ask questions afterward." "What's our target profit?" "Conservative estimate, 20 silver. Optimistic, 40 silver. We split 70-30, so you'd earn 6 to 12 silver." 6 to 12 silver. Not enough to reach Fang's price immediately, but significant progress. "Understood. Meet me here tomorrow at dawn. We'll visit the estate, examine the items before the official sale." Lu's expression turned serious. "And Wei Chen, once we commit our capital, there's no backing out. The money's spent regardless of outcome. Clear?" "Clear." The next 4 days blurred together. Wei Chen accompanied Lu to the estate, a modest manor on the town's outskirts, now empty except for an elderly steward managing the sale. They examined items carefully. Lu taught Wei Chen to spot enchantment traces, evaluate craftsmanship, identify common forgeries. "This ring," Lu said, holding the shadow-attuned piece, "is genuine. See the mana resonance? Consistent. No fluctuations. Fakes pulse irregularly." Wei Chen studied it, memorizing the pattern. They planned bidding strategies, set maximum prices, identified competition, other merchants who'd attend the sale. By the 4th day, Wei Chen felt prepared. Nervous, but prepared. The estate sale drew 30 attendees, merchants mostly, with a few wealthy collectors. The steward conducted the auction efficiently, item by item. Wei Chen sat beside Lu, watching his mentor work. Lu bid on the shadow ring. The opening price was 15 silver. He offered 17. Another merchant countered with 19. Lu went to 22. The other merchant hesitated, then withdrew. Sold. 22 silver. First item acquired. 8 silver under market value. Good start. The alchemical tools went smoothly too. Lu secured them for 12 silver within the planned budget. But the beast cores. Lot 17. 5 beast cores, low-grade, earth affinity. Lu examined them carefully during the viewing period, frowned, leaned close to Wei Chen and whispered, "These might be fake. The mana density is inconsistent. Should we skip them? We're here to learn. Sometimes learning means taking calculated risks." Lu bid cautiously. The core sold for 18 silver. Lu didn't push higher. Another merchant won them. "Why didn't we go higher?" Wei Chen asked quietly. "Because my confidence level was 60% authentic, 40% fake. At those odds, passing was smarter." Lu marked his ledger. "We spent 34 silver total, 66 remaining in reserve." They bid on 2 more items, a minor illusion amulet and a set of enchanted quills, acquired both within budget. Total spent 58 silver, 42 reserved. The resale process took 2 weeks. Lu sold the shadow ring for 28 silver, 6 silver profit. The alchemical tools sold for 13 silver, 1 silver profit. The illusion amulet sold for 9 silver. They paid 10, 1 silver loss. The enchanted quills didn't sell. Lu held them in inventory. Wei Chen did the math. Total investment, 58 silver, Wei Chen's 40, plus Lu's 18 from his share. Total returns, 50 silver, 28 plus 13 plus 9. Net result, 8 silver loss plus unsold quills, worth maybe 6 silver if they eventually sold. Break even, maybe slight loss depending on the quills. Lu split the returns according to their agreement. Wei Chen received 15 silver back from his 40 silver investment. 25 silver loss on paper, but Lu compensated partially from his own share, bringing Wei Chen's total to 32 silver recovered. "You lost 8 silver, Lu said bluntly. Could have been worse, could have been better. Questions?" Wei Chen had many. Why didn't the amulet sell for more? Market timing. No buyers wanted illusion items that week. Bad luck, Lu shrugged. Sometimes the market doesn't cooperate. The quills? Specialized item. Need the right buyer. They'll sell eventually, but might take months. Was this venture a success? Lu considered. Financially, no. We lost money. Educationally, yes. You learned item authentication, bidding strategy, market timing, risk assessment. He tapped the ledger. That knowledge is worth more than 8 silver. Wei Chen thought about his parents' words. Failure is feedback. He'd failed to profit, but he'd learned. And he still had 32 silver, not enough for Fang yet, but not back to zero either. That evening, Wei Chen reviewed the experience. Lessons learned. Market timing matters as much as item quality. Authentication isn't perfect. Patience required. Some items take time to sell. Risk management. Don't overbid on uncertain items. Knowledge has value separate from profit. Current status. Savings. 1 gold 32 silver, down from 1 gold 40 silver. Needed. 48 silver for Fang. Timeline, 4 months at standard work rate. He'd lost ground, 8 silver and 2 weeks of time. But he'd gained something else. Understanding, experience, the foundation of becoming a real merchant, not just a worker. Was it worth it? Wei Chen looked at his notes, at the lessons documented in careful script. Yes, it was worth it. Because someday, these lessons would matter more than 8 silver ever could. Chapter 12. The Test. Wei Chen found Instructor Feng at the training lot behind the inn. The scarred fire mage was running through forms, precise, economical movements that spoke of decades of practice. His flames flickered around his hands like living extensions, controlled and deadly. Wei Chen waited at the edge of the lot, watching. Interrupting a mage's training was disrespectful and stupid. After 5 minutes, Feng completed his sequence and the flames extinguished. He turned, unsurprised. "The Shadow Mage. Wei Chen, wasn't it?" "Yes, instructor." "I'm not your instructor. Not yet, anyway." Feng grabbed a water skin, drank deeply. "What do you want?" Wei Chen stepped forward. "I want to hire you for combat training. My rate is 1 gold 80 silver for 3 months. 3 sessions per week." Feng's tone was matter of fact. "Can you afford that?" "I have 1 gold 32 silver." "Then you can't afford it." Feng turned away. "Come back when you have the full amount." "Wait." Wei Chen didn't move from his spot. "I can pay the rest in installments. 8 silver per month for 6 months after training begins." Feng paused. Looked back. "Why would I accept that arrangement?" "Because I'm worth the risk." Bold claim. Feng walked closer, studying Wei Chen with those sharp, assessing eyes. "You're what, 5 years old? 6? You have intermediate darkness magic, which is impressive, but impressive isn't the same as dedicated. I've worked 6 months to save this money, took odd jobs, invested in a merchant venture that lost silver." Wei Chen met Feng's gaze. "I didn't quit. I'm here anyway. Desperation isn't dedication. I'm not desperate. I'm hungry." Wei Chen pulled his shadow quartz from his pocket. "I practice daily. I spar with the top student at Temple. I learn from every loss. This isn't desperation, it's ambition." Feng's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Interest, maybe. "Show me." Show you what? Your magic. Best technique. Right now. Feng gestured at the empty lot. Prove you're not wasting my time. Wei Chen pocketed the quartz and stepped into the center of the lot. He took a breath, centering himself. Then he pulled. His shadow responded instantly, splitting into multiple tendrils. 5, 10, 15. Each moved independently, some extending across the ground, others rising like serpents, two wrapping around Wei Chen himself in defensive coils. He held the coordination for 30 seconds. His core burned, but he pushed through. 40 seconds, 50. At 60 seconds, he released. The shadows snapped back to normal. Wei Chen was breathing hard but stayed standing. Feng watched silently for a moment. How long have you been training? 6 months since awakening. And you can hold multi-directional shadow control for a full minute? Feng's tone was neutral, but his attention was focused. Who taught you that? No one. I improvised it. Improvised. Feng circled Wei Chen slowly, like a predator evaluating prey. Elder Shen doesn't teach combat applications. So where did you learn to fight? I don't know how to fight. That's why I'm here. But you spar. With who? Yun Hao, water mage, intermediate level, advanced techniques. And you lose. Every time. Wei Chen straightened despite his exhaustion. But I learned from it. Every round teaches something. Water sensing counters visual stealth. Active defense beats static defense. Feints work against superior opponents. Feng stopped circling. You lose consistently and still keep fighting. Why? Because losing is temporary. Quitting is permanent. Feng studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled, a small, sharp expression that transformed his scarred face. I like you, Shadow Mage. You've got the right mindset. But liking someone doesn't mean training them for free. I'm not running a charity. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for a payment plan, which is still risk on my end. What if you stop paying? Then you stop teaching. Contract terminates. Wei Chen pulled out a piece of parchment. He'd prepared for this. Written agreement, signed and witnessed, enforceable. Feng took the parchment, read it. His eyebrows rose slightly. You wrote this yourself? Merchant Liu helped. He knows contracts. Smart, Feng handed it back. But I still don't know if you're worth the investment. So here's what's going to happen. He gestured to the lot. I'm going to test you. Not your magic, I've seen that. Your willingness to suffer. Because real combat training isn't temple lessons. It hurts. It's exhausting. Most students quit within the first month. I won't quit. Everyone says that. Few mean it. Feng's smile turned predatory. So prove it. Right now. You and me. Sparring match. Non-lethal, but not gentle either. Last 10 minutes without yielding, and I'll accept your payment plan. Wei Chen's core was still depleted from the shadow demonstration. His magic reserves were maybe 30%. Fighting now would be stupid. He'd lose badly. But refusing would be worse. All right. Fang didn't give him time to prepare. Fire erupted from the instructor's hand, a whip of flame that cracked toward Wei Chen like a living thing. Wei Chen's shadow jerked upward, forming a hasty wall. The flame struck it and dispersed, but the heat washed over Wei Chen's face. Move, don't just block. Wei Chen rolled sideways as another fire whip came down where he'd been standing. His shadow split into defensive tendrils, intercepting the next 3 attacks. But Fang was faster, more experienced. The fire whips multiplied, 4, 5, 6, attacking from multiple angles simultaneously. Wei Chen's shadow defenses collapsed under the assault. A whip caught his ankle, burning through his pant leg. Pain flared sharp and immediate. He bit back a scream, pivoted on his uninjured leg, and used shadow concealment to blend with the lot's natural darkness. Fang's laugh echoed. "Good instinct, but I don't need to see you to hit you." Fire exploded outward in all directions, a nova of flame that illuminated every corner of the lot. Wei Chen's concealment shattered. Another fire whip. Wei Chen couldn't block this one. It struck his shoulder, searing cloth and skin. He stumbled, vision blurring from pain. 10 minutes. Just last 10 minutes. Fang didn't relent. More fire, more attacks. Wei Chen blocked what he could, took hits he couldn't avoid. His magic reserves drained to nothing. His shadows became sluggish, unresponsive. A fire whip wrapped around his waist, lifting him off the ground. "Yield?" Fang asked, not unkindly. Wei Chen checked the sun's position. Maybe 6 minutes had passed? Not enough. "No." Fang dropped him. Wei Chen hit the ground hard, rolling to absorb impact. His burned ankle screamed, his shoulder throbbed, but he stood up anyway. Again. The next 4 minutes were agony. Wei Chen couldn't use magic anymore, his core was empty, so he relied on movement, dodging, rolling, using terrain. Fang's attacks came slower now, not weaker, still more than enough to overwhelm Wei Chen, but measured, testing. Wei Chen took burns on his arms, his back, his legs. Each one sent lightning through his nerves, but he didn't yield. He fell twice, got up twice. At 8 minutes, Fang created a fire prison around Wei Chen, a circle of flames that trapped him completely. "Last chance. Yield and I'll heal those burns for free. Refuse and you suffer another 2 minutes." Wei Chen's vision swam. His legs shook. Every breath hurt. But he'd promised himself, promised his parents, promised that he wouldn't quit just because things were hard. 2 more minutes. Fang's smile was approving now. Stubborn bastard. The fire prison collapsed. Wei Chen collapsed with it, his legs finally giving out. But he'd made it. 10 minutes. Fang approached, crouched beside him. "You are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid." "Both," Wei Chen managed. Fang laughed, genuine amusement. Then he placed his hand on Wei Chen's shoulder, and heat flowed through. But this heat was different, soothing. The burns on Wei Chen's skin began to close, pain fading. "Fire can destroy," Fang said quietly, "but it can also purify, cauterize, heal in its own way." The burns didn't disappear completely. Faint scars remained, but the agony receded to manageable levels. Fang stood, offering his hand. Wei Chen took it, letting the instructor pull him up. "You lasted 10 minutes against a combat specialist while magically exhausted and injured." Fang's tone was matter-of-fact. "That's not skill, that's willpower. And willpower can be trained into something dangerous." He produced the contract Wei Chen had written. "I'll accept your terms. 1 gold, 32 silver up front. 8 silver per month for 6 months. 3 sessions weekly. Miss 2 consecutive payments, contract terminates. Agreed?" Wei Chen nodded, not trusting his voice. Fang signed the contract, then handed it to Wei Chen for his signature. When both names were written, Fang pocketed his copy. "Training starts tomorrow. Dawn. Don't be late." "I won't." "And Wei Chen," Fang's expression turned serious. "What I just did, that was a fraction of real combat. A taste. If you're serious about learning, it gets harder from here. Much harder." "I know." "Good." Fang turned away, returning to his practice. "See you tomorrow, Shadow Mage." Wei Chen limped home, body aching, burns tingling despite Fang's healing. But he'd done it. 1 gold, 32 silver paid, contract signed, training secured. His parents would worry about the burns. He'd have to explain carefully, reassure them he was fine. But fine or not, he'd taken another step forward. Temple lessons taught control. Fang would teach combat. And maybe, Just maybe, that would be enough to close the gap between him and people like Yun Hao, or at least give him a fighting chance. Chapter 13. First Blood. Dawn came cold and gray. Wei Chen stood at the training lot behind the inn, breath misting in the early morning air. His burns from yesterday still ached, faint scars that pulled when he moved, but the pain was manageable. Instructor Feng arrived exactly at sunrise. No greeting, no preamble. Run. Wei Chen blinked. What? Run. Around the lot. 20 laps. Go. Wei Chen ran. The lot wasn't large, maybe 50 paces around, but 20 laps was 20 laps. By lap 5, his legs burned. By lap 10, his lungs screamed. By lap 15, he wanted to stop. He didn't. At lap 20, he stumbled to a halt, gasping. Feng stood unmoved, watching with those calculating eyes. Magic makes you dangerous, but magic has limits. Your core depletes, techniques fail. When that happens, your body is all you have left. He gestured. Physical conditioning isn't glamorous, but it keeps you alive when your magic runs out. Remember that. Wei Chen nodded, too winded to speak. Good, now we begin. Feng pulled out 2 practice daggers, wooden, weighted, worn smooth from use. He tossed one to Wei Chen. Wei Chen caught it awkwardly. The balance felt wrong in his small hands. Darkness magic excels at 3 things, Feng began, demonstrating basic grip adjustments on Wei Chen's hands. Stealth, misdirection, and surprise killing. You already know stealth and misdirection. Today, we learned the killing. He stepped back, raising his own practice blade. Darkness blade is a fundamental darkness technique. You shape shadow into a cutting edge and layer it over a physical weapon. The result amplifies damage and allows the blade to cut through magical defenses. Feng's practice dagger became wreathed in flames, not burning the wood, but coating it like liquid fire. The blade's edge shimmered with heat, sharper and more defined. This is Fire Blade. Same principle, different element. For darkness, you'll use shadow instead of flame, but the concept is identical. Layer your element over the weapon to enhance its lethality. The flames extinguished. Your turn. Wei Chen focused on his dagger, reached for his magic, still recovering from yesterday, and pulled. Shadows responded sluggishly, wrapping around the blade. But they didn't sharpen, they just coated it, like coating rather than enhancement. Wrong, Feng said. You're treating shadow like a blanket. It's not. Shadow is edge. Concentrate on the concept of cutting. Imagine the shadow as honed steel. Wei Chen tried again. The shadows shifted slightly, but remained blunt. Again, and again, and again. 30 attempts, 40. Wei Chen's core ached from the constant manipulation. Sweat dripped despite the cold air. Stop, Feng finally commanded. You're forcing it. Magic responds to intent, not effort. What's the purpose of a blade? To cut. Deeper than that. Why do you cut? Wei Chen thought. To damage. To kill. Close, but killing is outcome, not purpose. Feng raised his dagger and flames coated it again. Precise, controlled. The purpose of a blade is to end something. A threat, an enemy, a problem. Blade techniques, whether fire, shadow, or any element, aren't about destruction for its own sake. They're about termination, decisive, final. He demonstrated the motion. The flames didn't just coat the blade, they became one with its lethal intent. The distinction was subtle, but crucial. Try once more. Think about ending, not cutting. Wei Chen raised his dagger, thought about the concept, not violence, finality. The shadows responded. They flowed over the blade, and this time they sharpened. The edge became defined, dangerous. It wasn't perfect. The shadow wavered, unstable, but it was there. Better, Feng said. That's the foundation. Now you need to maintain it. For the next hour, Feng drilled the technique relentlessly. Form the shadow blade, hold it, release, repeat. Wei Chen's core depleted to nothing. His magic reserves hit empty 3 times. Each time, Feng made him rest exactly 2 minutes, then continue. Combat doesn't wait for you to recover. You need to fight through exhaustion, push past limits, expand your capacity through suffering. By the end of the hour, Wei Chen could form a stable shadow blade, maybe 1 time in 5. The other 4 attempts produced blunt, useless coatings. Pathetic, Feng said without malice, but expected. This technique takes months to master. You've learned the basics in 1 morning. That's acceptable progress. Wei Chen collapsed against the fence, chest heaving. Are we done? He asked hopefully. With shadow blade instruction, yes. Now we spar. Wei Chen's heart sunk. The sparring was worse than yesterday. Feng didn't use his magic this time, just the practice dagger and pure technique. He came at Wei Chen fast, faster than Wei Chen could track. The wooden blade struck Wei Chen's ribs, his shoulder, his thigh. Each hit was controlled, non-lethal, but painful. Wei Chen tried to defend, tried to use his own dagger, but Feng was everywhere at once, slipping past guards, exploiting openings Wei Chen didn't know existed. Block high, I strike low. Block low, I strike high. Feng's dagger wrapped Wei Chen's wrist, forcing him to drop his weapon. Predictable, slow, reactive instead of proactive. Wei Chen grabbed his fallen dagger, tried a shadow technique. Feng kicked his ankle out from under him before the shadows could form. Wei Chen hit the ground hard. Magic is a crutch if you rely on it exclusively, Feng said, not even breathing hard. Learn to fight without it first, then add magic as enhancement, not foundation. He gestured for Wei Chen to stand. Again. They sparred for another 20 minutes. Wei Chen didn't land a single hit. He took dozens. By the end, he was bruised, exhausted, and thoroughly humbled. Feng finally called a halt. Enough, you're done for today. Wei Chen could barely stand. His body was a map of impact points: ribs, shoulders, arms, legs. Nothing broken, but everything hurt. Questions, Feng asked. How long until I can actually fight? Define actually fight. Hold my own, not get destroyed every time. Feng considered. Against me? Years. Against someone your own age and skill level? 6 months, if you train consistently. Wei Chen repeated. That was longer than he'd hoped, but realistic, probably. Disappointed? Feng asked. No, just calculating. Wei Chen straightened despite the pain. I have temple lessons twice weekly. You're training 3 times weekly. That's 5 days of instruction. If I add solo practice daily, you'll burn out within a month. Feng's tone was flat. Rest matters as much as training. Your body needs recovery time. Your magic needs to regenerate. Push too hard and you'll plateau or injure yourself permanently. Wei Chen considered arguing, but recognized the wisdom. Feng had decades of experience. Wei Chen had 6 months. Understood. Smart training beats hard training. Exactly. Feng handed back the dagger. Now get out of here. You have work tomorrow's afternoon, don't you? Wei Chen blinked. How did you? I asked around before taking you as a student. Wanted to know if you were serious or just playing at ambition. Feng's expression was unreadable. Merchant Liu speaks well of you. Says you're reliable, dedicated. That matters. He turned away, dismissing Wei Chen. Don't be late tomorrow, and don't come exhausted from overwork. I need you functional, not half dead. Wei Chen walked home slowly, every step a reminder of the morning's brutality. This was different from Elder Shen's lessons. Elder Shen taught theory, control, safety. Feng taught application, violence, efficiency. Both were necessary, but only one prepared you for real combat. Wei Chen thought about Yun Hao's water healing, his elegant techniques, and his private tutor teaching medical applications. Different paths, different specializations. Yun Hao would become a healer, a protector, someone valuable for saving lives. Wei Chen was yearning to end them, not because he wanted to kill, but because in a world where power mattered, the ability to stop threats was as valuable as the ability to heal them, maybe more valuable. That evening, Wei Chen's mother saw his bruises and nearly cried. "What happened?" "Training. It's supposed to hurt. This is too much. You're 6 years old." "I'm fine, mother." Wei Chen's voice was gentle but firm. "Instructor Feng is harsh but not cruel. He's teaching me to survive. That's what I need." His father examined the bruises with a potter's eye, assessing damage like he'd assess a cracked bowl. "Nothing permanent, just impact trauma. You'll heal." "Chen Bo," his mother protested. "Lin Mei, our son chose this path. We can support him or undermine him. I choose support. But if it becomes too much, you tell us. Pride isn't worth permanent injury." "I will." His mother looked between them, then sighed. "At least let me make a healing salve. It won't fix everything, but it'll help." "Thank you." Wei Chen lay in bed that night, body aching but mind clear. Day 1 of real training complete. Shadow blade technique learned foundation. Combat sparring destroyed completely. Lessons learned? Magic is enhancement, not foundation. Rest matters. Smart training beats hard training. Cost? Bruises, exhaustion, humility. Worth it? Yes. Because every bruise was a lesson. Every failure was data. Every painful session brought him closer to being actually dangerous instead of just magically talented. Yun Hao had advantages, resources, tutors, support. But Wei Chen had something else: hunger, willingness to suffer, and an instructor who didn't treat him like a fragile child. The gap between them was still there, but Wei Chen was closing it, one brutal training session at a time. Chapter 14. Different. 1 week into Feng's training, Wei Chen faced Yun Hao again. Same temple hall, same supervised sparring, but Wei Chen felt different, moved different. Yun Hao noticed immediately. "Ready?" Yun Hao asked, water already condensing around his hands. Wei Chen drew his practice dagger, he'd started carrying one everywhere now, and nodded. Yun Hao's water whip lashed out. Wei Chen didn't raise his shadow wall this time. He moved, sidestepped, letting the whip crack against stone where he'd been standing. Yun Hao's eyes widened slightly. He sent 3 water streams simultaneously. Wei Chen blocked one with his shadow, dodged another, and the third caught his shoulder, but he'd already closed distance, dagger thrusting toward Yun Hao's guard. Yun Hao created a water shield reflexively. Wei Chen's blade struck it, and shadows erupted along the weapon's edge. Not perfect, not stable, but there. Shadow blade for a half second. The shield held, but Yun Hao stumbled back, surprised. What was that? Wei Chen didn't answer, pressed the attack. His movements weren't elegant. Feng's training was brutal efficiency, not grace, but they were purposeful. Block high, strike low. Feint left, attack right. Don't just react, dictate. Yun Hao adapted quickly, his superior control reasserting itself. Water prison formed around Wei Chen's feet. Yield? Wei Chen tested the prison, still too strong to break. Yield. The water released. Both were breathing harder than usual. "You've changed," Yun Hao said, not accusatory, just Observing. You move differently, fight differently. I have a new instructor. That fire mage, Feng? Yes. Yunhao studied Wei Chen with those analytical eyes. He's teaching you to fight, not just use magic. Both. Magic is enhancement, fighting is foundation. Interesting philosophy. Yunhao let the water sphere collapse. My tutor emphasizes magic first, technique second. Yours does the opposite. Different paths. Yes. Yunhao let the water sphere collapse. But you lasted longer this time. Landed hits I had to actually defend against. That's progress. Wei Chen acknowledged this with a nod. He'd still lost, but the gap felt smaller. Again? Yunhao offered. No, I'm exhausted. Wei Chen's honesty surprised even himself. Feng's training is brutal. I can barely move by evening. But you keep going. I don't have a choice. You have family to protect you, money to solve problems. I have magic and a willingness to learn how to use it. Wei Chen smiled slightly. So, I use what I have. Yunhao's expression softened. That's admirable. Frustrating to compete against, but admirable. They sat against the temple pillars, recovering. Can I ask something? Yunhao said after a moment. Go ahead. Why combat training specifically? Elder Shan teaches control, which is valuable. My tutor teaches healing and support magic, but you're learning to hurt people. No judgment in his tone, just curiosity. Why? Wei Chen thought about how to answer. Because control and healing don't close the gap between me and people stronger than me. Combat does. You think violence is the answer? I think capability is the answer. I don't want to hurt people, but if someone tries to hurt me, I want the option to stop them. Wei Chen met Yunhao's maze. You have family to protect you, money to solve problems. I have magic and a willingness to learn how to use it. Yunhao nodded slowly. Fair point. Besides, Wei Chen added, darkness magic isn't suited for healing, it's suited for other things. I'm just following my element's nature. Shadow Blade. Yunhao's voice held respect. That technique you used? I've heard of it but never seen it. You learned that in a week? Foundation only. It's unstable, barely functional. Still impressive. Yunhao stood, offering his hand. Keep pushing. This is more interesting when you actually challenge me. Wei Chen took the hand, pulled himself up. Same time next week? Yes, but Wei Chen, Yunhao's expression turned serious. Be careful with that instructor. Combat training can change people, make them harder, colder. I know. Do you? Yunhao held his gaze. Because the person who just fought me wasn't the same person from last week. You moved like you were ready to hurt me if necessary. That's not bad necessarily, just different. Wei Chen didn't have a response to that. Yunhao left and Wei Chen stood alone in the temple, thinking. Had he changed? Yes, obviously. Was that bad? He didn't know yet. But he knew one thing. The old Wei Chen would have lost faster, learned less, and stayed afraid. The new Wei Chen might be harder, but he was also stronger. And in a world where strength mattered, that was worth the cost. Chapter 15. Worth. 1 month and 1 week after Feng's first lesson, Wei Chen woke to find his parents standing in his doorway. Both were smiling, genuine, warm expressions that made Wei Chen immediately suspicious. His parents didn't usually wake him. He woke himself, always early, always before dawn. What's wrong? He asked, sitting up. Nothing's wrong. His mother stepped forward, holding something wrapped in plain cloth. We wanted to give you something. Wei Chen sat up straighter, confused. Why? Because you are working yourself to exhaustion, his father said quietly, and because we're proud of what you're accomplishing. Open it, his father said, that quiet firmness in his voice. Wei Chen took the package, unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a cloak, dark gray, well-made, with subtle stitching along the edges and faint patterns woven into the fabric that seemed to shimmer when light hit them. He felt the enchantment immediately, a gentle, supportive resonance, recovery magic, stamina regeneration. This is... Wei Chen couldn't finish the sentence. Recovery enchantments are expensive, even minor ones. We know you've been exhausted, his mother said softly. Training at dawn with Instructor Feng, temple lessons in the morning, work with Merchant Louis in the afternoon, barely sleeping, barely resting. Her voice wavered. We can't give you tutors or pay for academies like other families, but we can give you this, something to help you survive. Today is Awakening Festival, his mother said. Tradition says we give you something to support your path. His father nodded. We wanted it to be useful, something that helps with what you're doing. Wei Chen stared at the cloak, at his parents, at the sacrifice they had made for him. Thank you, he managed, voice thick. I'll use it well, I promise. His mother pulled him into a hug. We know you will. We're so proud of you, Wei Chen, even if we're terrified watching you push yourself so hard. Wei Chen hugged her back, feeling the weight of everything. The cloak, their sacrifice, the expectations he'd placed on himself. His parents couldn't give him advantages, but they gave everything they could, and somehow that was enough. Later that morning, Wei Chen stood at Merchant Lu's stall counting copper. 10 silver, 5 weeks of work, every spare afternoon and evening spent on deliveries, inventory, learning the trade. He needed 16 silver for his first payment to Feng, due in another month. At his current rate, he'd make it, barely. You look thoughtful, Lu observed, arranging his display. Calculating. I need 16 silver in 3 weeks. For the instructor? Yes, first payment. Lu stroked his chin. I might have an opportunity. Interested? Wei Chen's attention sharpened. Always. Estate auction next week. Large liquidation. Minor noble family selling assets. I need advance intelligence. Pulled out a notice. Your shadow magic gives you an edge. Attend the preview, evaluate items, report what's undervalued. Scout work. Exactly. Base fee, 2 silver. Bonus, 5 silver for every tip that results in profit. Lu leaned forward. Do this well, and you'll have your payment covered early, maybe with extra. Wei Chen calculated. 2 silver guaranteed. 1 good tip made 7 silver total. Combined with his 10, that was 17, enough to pay Feng early and keep 1 silver reserve. I'll do it. The estate preview was 3 days later. Wei Chen arrived early, dressed plainly. Just another child with a merchant, unremarkable, forgettable. The hall held 40 people, merchants examining items on long tables, jewelry, weapons, tools, minor artifacts. Wei Chen activated shadow concealment. Not invisibility, but enough to be overlooked, difficult to focus on. He moved methodically, observing. Most items were ordinary, fake enchantments, low quality, nothing special. Then he saw it. A leather pouch, simple brown, worn, sitting among belts and travel gear. But Wei Chen felt something, spatial magic, subtle and stable. He examined it without touching, noting the dimensional enchantment woven into the leather. A dimensional pouch, holds more than its size suggests, useful for merchants, travelers, anyone who needed portable storage. 2 merchants had walked past it completely. They were looking for flashy items, obvious magic. This was practical, easy to miss. Wei Chen memorized its position and continued. By preview's end, he'd identified 3 items: the pouch, a set of quality steel daggers, non-magical but excellent craft, and alchemical supplies that looked legitimate. He reported to Lu that evening. "The dimensional pouch is priority," Wei Chen explained. "Storage enchantment, everyone ignored it because it looks ordinary." Lu's eyes gleamed. Dimensional items are always valuable. Merchants, adventurers, anyone who travels. He made notes. Opening bid estimate? 8 to 10 silver. It's mixed with regular leather goods. Perfect. The auction went as predicted. The pouch came up early, listed as travel pouch, minor enchantment. Opening bid, 7 silver. Lu bid 9. One competitor countered with 10. Lu went to 12. The competitor dropped out. Sold, 12 silver. Lu also acquired the daggers for 5 silver. Passed on the alchemical supplies, price climbed too high. 2 days later, Lu sold the dimensional pouch to a traveling merchant for 25 silver, 13 silver profit on a 12 silver investment. He paid Wei Chen the bonus, 7 silver. "Excellent work," Lu said, counting coins. "You saw what experienced merchants missed. That instinct is valuable." Wei Chen pocketed the silver. "Thank you." "No, thank you. This is the partnership I hoped for." Lu leaned back. "Keep developing that eye. You have talent for this." The next morning, Wei Chen approached instructor Feng with a pouch of silver. Feng was finishing his forms. When he stopped, Wei Chen held out the pouch. "First payment, 16 silver. I know it's not due for another month, but I wanted to pay early." Feng took it, counted, raised an eyebrow. "Early payment? Interesting. I had the money, didn't see reason to wait. Most people delay payment as long as possible. You accelerate it." Feng pocketed the silver. "That says something about character." Wei Chen felt warmth at the approval. Feng's respect was hard-earned, which made it valuable. "Training continues as normal," Feng said, "but next week I'll teach you a new technique. You've earned it." That evening, Wei Chen tried on the recovery cloak his parents had given him. It fit perfectly. The moment he fastened it, the enchantment activated. A gentle warmth spread through his body, not healing, but sustaining. His exhausted muscles relaxed. His depleted core began refilling faster. Not dramatic, not game-changing, but noticeable. With this, he could train longer, recover faster, push harder without breaking. Wei Chen looked at himself in his mother's small mirror. 6 years old, scarred from training, wearing an enchanted cloak his parents had sacrificed for him. He looked different than a month ago. Harder, leaner, more purposeful. Training had changed him, made him colder maybe, but also stronger, more capable. His parents had sacrificed for him. Feng believed in him. Lu saw his potential. Wei Chen couldn't waste that. Tomorrow, Feng promised a new technique. Tomorrow he'd wear the cloak in combat training for the first time. Tomorrow, he'd keep pushing forward. Because he'd become someone worth their investment, no matter what it took. Chapter 16. Sharp Eyes. Wei Chen had a rare free afternoon. No training. Feng had called it a rest day after particularly brutal sparring. No temple. Elder Shen was traveling to the capital for sect business. No work. Liu's stall was closed for inventory. So Wei Chen walked through the market, aimless for the first time in months. The crowds moved around him with practiced ease. Merchants shouted prices. Children darted between stalls. The smell of cooking meat and fresh bread mixed with dust and sweat. Normal. Ordinary. Wei Chen had almost forgotten what this felt like. "Wei Chen!" He turned. Lian Shu waved from a vegetable stall, grinning. She'd grown. Not dramatically, Lin's didn't at this age. But she looked older somehow. More solid. More present. Wei Chen approached. Lian-chu. Wow, formal. She handed a customer their purchase, counted coins with practiced efficiency. You look terrible, by the way. Thanks. No, seriously. She studied him with those sharp eyes. You're leaner, harder. And those are training scars, aren't they? She pointed at his forearm where Feng's fire whip had left faint marks. Wei Chen pulled his sleeve down. Combat training. With that fire mage everyone talks about? Feng? Yes. Brutal, I heard. Lian-chu finished with her customer, then stepped out from behind the stall. My shift's done. Walk with me? They moved through the market's back alleys, away from the main crowds. Lian-chu led them to a quiet spot behind a closed warehouse, her usual refuge, apparently. So, she said, sitting on a crate, 7 months since the ceremony. You've been busy. Very. Training at dawn, temple in the morning, merchant work in the afternoon, plus that investment thing that lost you silver, plus sparring with Yun Hao, plus whatever else you're not mentioning. Wei Chen blinked. How do you know all that? I pay attention. People talk and... She smiled slightly. My skill got better. Sharp mind? You remembered! Lian-chu looked pleased. Yeah, it's stronger now. I can read people better. Not just emotions, intentions, what they're hiding, what they want. She gestured at Wei Chen. Like right now, you're exhausted but won't admit it. Proud of your progress but worried you're not moving fast enough. And you feel guilty about something. Wei Chen stiffened. Guilty? Your parents gave you something expensive recently. A gift you don't think you deserve. An enchanted item. Recovery magic, maybe. Something to help with exhaustion. Wei Chen's hand moved instinctively to the cloak folded in his bag. How? I pay attention, plus your posture changed when I mentioned guilt, and you touched your bag. Wei Chen shrugged. Plus, I saw your mother at market yesterday. She looked sad but proud. That's the look parents have when they sacrifice for their kids. Wei Chen sat down heavily on another crate. That's impressive and unsettling. Both, yeah. Turns out being poor and observant is a useful combination. My skill helps me avoid trouble, spot good customers, know when merchants are lying about prices. Elder Shen said skills can reach mastery levels. What level are you now? Adept, I think? Maybe 40% mastery? Lian-chu considered. I can read most people if I focus, but it's exhausting, and I'm wrong sometimes. Maybe 1 in 5. 1 in 5 is still 80% accurate. Math nerd. But she said it fondly. What about you? How's the magic training? Wei Chen summarized, carefully, leaving out the worst parts. Fang's brutal methods, the constant pain, the way his body had adapted to functioning on minimal rest. Lian-chu listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a moment. You're going to leave, she said finally. Not a question, a statement. What? This town, eventually. You're going to outgrow it. Lian-chu's tone was matter-of-fact. Yun Hao will leave for the capital's water academy. You'll leave for wherever darkness mages go, and I'll stay here, helping my mother sell vegetables. You don't know that. I do, though. Lian-chu met his eyes. I can read it in you, the ambition, the hunger. You're not going to stop at being the second best mage in a small town. You want more. Wei Chen couldn't deny it. She was right. Does that bother you? He asked. No. Well, maybe a little. Lian-chu smiled sadly. But I'm not stupid. I know what my life is, what it'll be. I'm not a mage. I'm not going anywhere special. I'll probably marry some local farmer, have kids, help run the market stall. That's not nothing. It's not adventure either, she shrugged. But that's fine. Not everyone needs to be special. Some of us just need to be useful, good at what we do. Wei Chen thought about that, about different kinds of value, different kinds of success. You're already useful. Your skill is rare, valuable. There are merchants who'd pay for someone who can read customers that well. Maybe. She didn't sound convinced. Or maybe I'll just be the vegetable girl who's oddly good at haggling. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The market noise was distant here, muffled by buildings. "When you leave," Lian Shu said eventually, "don't forget about the people who helped you get there." "I won't." "Promise?" Wei Chen thought about everything she'd done, finding him work, introducing him to the right people, standing by him when everyone else was afraid. "I promise," Wei Chen said, meeting her eyes. "When I'm successful, when I have real money, real influence, I'll repay you properly, not because I owe you, because you chose to help when you didn't have to." Lian Shu's eyes went suspiciously bright. "That's a big promise." "I keep my promises." "I know you do. That's why it matters." She wiped her eyes roughly. "Don't make me cry, idiot. I have a reputation to maintain." Wei Chen smiled. "Wouldn't want to damage the reputation of the girl who's oddly good at haggling." "Exactly." They left the alley and wandered back toward the main market. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. Vendors were beginning to pack up their stalls. Wei Chen's hand found the single silver coin in his pocket, his last one, the remainder from Liu's bonus after paying Feng early. He should save it, should add it to his slowly rebuilding fund. Every copper mattered when you were calculating months until the next payment. But they passed a sweet stall. The merchant, an old woman with kind eyes, was arranging the last of her honey cakes and candied fruits, preparing to close for the day. Wei Chen had seen Lian Shu look at this stall before, dozens of times over the months, always slowing her steps, always looking, never buying. Because a honey cake cost 15 copper, and 15 copper was a meal, or fabric for patching clothes, or saved toward something necessary. Luxuries weren't for people like them. Except, Wei Chen stopped. "Wait here," he said. Lian Shu looked confused. "Why?" "Just wait." Wei Chen approached the sweet stall. The old woman smiled at him, one of the few merchants who didn't look nervous around the shadow mage boy. "Young master, looking for something?" Wei Chen pointed at the honey cakes, golden brown drizzled with honey that caught the late afternoon light. "2 of those, and," he scanned the other offerings, 4 candied plums. "That'll be 60 copper." Wei Chen held out his silver coin. The old woman took it, counted out 40 copper in change with practiced efficiency. He pocketed the copper and took the small paper-wrapped bundle. It was warm in his hands. When he turned back, Lian Shu was watching him with an unreadable expression. Wei Chen walked over and held out the bundle. "Here." She stared at it. "What's this?" "Food." "I can see that. Why?" Wei Chen shrugged, suddenly awkward. "Because you always look at the sweet stall but never buy anything, and because I wanted to." Lian Shu took the bundle slowly, like it might vanish if she moved too fast. She unwrapped it carefully. 2 honey cakes, 4 candied plums. Her hands started shaking. "Wei Chen, this is a silver's worth of sweets." 92 copper, actually. I got change." "That's not the point." Lian Shu looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. "This was your last silver. Your savings. You need this for everything. Training payments, food, your family." "I know." "Then why?" "Because you're my friend, and because you've helped me more than anyone except my parents, and because," he gestured vaguely, Because we're still children, and children should get to eat honey cakes sometimes. A tear slipped down Lian Shu's cheek. She wiped it away angrily. I told you not to make me cry, you idiot. I'm not making you do anything. You're choosing to cry. Shut up. But she was smiling through the tears. She carefully selected one honey cake and one candied plum, then held the bundle back out. We're sharing. I'm not eating all of this while you watch. That defeats the purpose of a gift. I don't care. Shut up and take one. Wei Chen took a honey cake. It was still warm, sticky with honey, sweet enough to make his teeth ache. They ate in silence, standing in the emptying market as the sun set and vendors closed their stalls around them. The honey cake tasted better than anything Wei Chen could remember eating. Not because it was particularly exceptional. The old woman was a good baker, but not a master. But because of the moment itself. No training, no calculating, no thinking 3 steps ahead. Just 2 children sharing something sweet in the fading light. This is really good, Lian Shu said quietly. Yeah. Thank you. She looked at him and her eyes were clear now. No more tears, just warmth. For remembering I'm more than useful. For treating me like I matter. You do matter. I know, but it's nice to be reminded. She carefully wrapped the remaining sweets. I'm saving these for bad days, when I need to remember that someone thought I was worth a silver coin. Wei Chen wanted to say something profound, something meaningful about friendship and worth and how he'd never forget her. But words felt insufficient. So he just nodded. They parted ways as the market lanterns began to light. Lian Shu returned to help her mother close the stall. Wei Chen walked home slowly, the taste of honey still on his tongue. His pocket was lighter. 40 copper left instead of a full silver. His savings depleted again. But somehow he didn't regret it. Because Lian Shu was right about one thing. He would leave eventually. This town was too small for what he wanted to become. But she was also right that he shouldn't forget the people who'd helped him, the ones without advantages, without magic, who'd given what they could anyway. His parents, Lian Shu, even Merchant Liu in his uncalculated way. They were investing in him, believing in him, supporting him. And someday, maybe years from now, maybe longer, he'd repay that. Not because he owed them, but because they'd chosen to help when they didn't have to. That mattered. Wei Chen pulled the recovery cloak tighter against the evening chill. Tomorrow, training would resume. The brutal schedule would continue. The gap between him and Yun Hao would narrow further. But today, for a few hours, he'd remembered what it felt like to be just a child, talking with a friend, sharing small kindnesses, spending his last silver on honey cakes instead of hoarding it like a miser. It was nice. He'd have to do it again sometime, before he left this place behind entirely. Chapter 17. 1 Year Anniversary. Exactly 1 year after the awakening ceremony, Wei Chen stood in the temple courtyard at sunset. The ceremony had felt distant and present simultaneously. A year was a long time when you were only 6 years old. It was also nothing at all when measured against the distance he still needed to travel. Elder Shen emerged from the temple, staff tapping against stone. He studied Wei Chen with those sharp, assessing eyes. Today marks your first year, Elder Shen said simply. It is customary to review progress and set intentions for the year ahead. Wei Chen nodded. He'd anticipated this. Walk with me, Elder Shen commanded, not asked. They moved through the town, not the market district, but the quiet residential areas where ordinary people lived. Elder Shen seemed to be leading with purpose, though Wei Chen couldn't discern it yet. They stopped at a modest pottery workshop, Chen Bo's shop. Wei Chen's father was inside, hands moving through clay on the wheel. He looked up surprised to see Elder Shen and hastily wiped his hands. "Elder, an honor. Chen Bo, your son's progress has been exceptional. I wanted to observe the foundation that produced such dedication." Chen Bo gestured and they all stepped outside. He pointed to his work, the finished pieces displayed on shelves, bowls, cups, plates, simple, practical, beautifully crafted. "This is what I know," Chen Bo said. "Shaping clay, no magic, no power, just repetition, discipline, understanding the material's nature." Elder Shen examined a finished bowl, turning it in his hands. "And you taught your son this philosophy?" "I tried to. Whether it stuck, I cannot say." "It stuck," Elder Shen said, setting the bowl down carefully. "Your son applies the potter's philosophy to magic. He understands that mastery requires understanding nature, not fighting it. Darkness magic is not evil or good. It is concealment and deception. He accepts this and builds from it." Chen Bo looked at Wei Chen with something like pride in his weathered face. Elder Shen turned to Wei Chen's father again. "There is something I wish to propose," Elder Shen continued. "In 2 years, Wei Chen must choose his path, join a sect, enlist in the military, pursue independence. The town can no longer contain his growth." Wei Chen's stomach tightened. 2 years. It seemed both impossibly far away and terrifyingly close. "When that time comes," Elder Shen said, "I recommend he pursue the Shadow Sanctuary in the capital. They are semi-legal and secretive, yes, but they will understand his potential in ways the Water Academy cannot. They will push him toward mastery rather than conformity." Chen Bo bowed deeply. "We are honored by your confidence, Elder." "Don't thank me yet," Elder Shen replied. "Wei Chen's path will not be easy. Darkness mages are always suspect, always watched. Success will require not just power, but strategy, connections, discretion." He turned to Wei Chen. "Do you understand what I am saying, boy?" "I understand. I can't rely on talent alone." "Correct. Talent is foundation. Everything else you've built, reputation with Merchant Liu, relationship with Feng, respect from Yun Hao, that is what will matter. Power without trust is simply a threat. Power with trust is opportunity." Elder Shen left them there in the pottery workshop. Wei Chen watched him go, then turned to his father. 2 years? "Yes," Chen Bo said, returning to his wheel and resuming work. 2 years to prepare, to decide if you're certain about this path." "I'm certain." "Are you?" His father's hands moved through the clay with practiced ease. "Or are you certain because you've never stopped moving long enough to consider alternatives?" Wei Chen didn't have an immediate answer. His father continued shaping, the wheel spinning steadily beneath his hands. "When I was young," Chen Bo said, "I thought I wanted to travel, see the world, be more than a potter in a small town." He shaped the clay with gentle precision. "But I was wrong. I tried for a year, worked merchant caravans, traveled to 3 other towns. The clay transformed under his hands, from formless lump to smooth walls taking shape. And I realized I wasn't running toward something. I was running away from fear that I wasn't good enough, that making pots wasn't enough." He paused in his work. "So I came back, opened this workshop, married your mother, built something small but real." The bowl was taking shape now, symmetrical, balanced, beautiful in its simplicity. "I'm not telling you to stop," Chen Bo said. "I'm telling you to examine why you're running. Make sure it's toward something, not away from something." I'm running toward power, toward wealth, toward freedom. Freedom from what? His father asked. Wei Qin thought about this. From fear, from powerlessness, from being at the mercy of people who have advantages I don't. His father nodded slowly. Those are honest answers, and they're valid. Just don't forget, power and wealth and freedom all cost something. Make sure you're willing to pay the price. That night, Wei Chen sat with merchant Lu, counting inventory. 1 year of work, nearly 70 silver accumulated, spent mostly on training, but building toward a future. You're different, Lu observed, marking numbers in his ledger, than when you started. How? More efficient, less emotional. You make decisions based on analysis rather than hope. Lu set down his pen. It's bid for business, but I wanted to tell you, that kind of thinking is like a tool, useful, but overuse it and you become brittle. Wei Qin looked at him. Lu rarely offered unsolicited advice. What do you mean? I mean that some people matter more than money. Lian Shu, for example, you spent a silver on honey cakes when you should have saved it. From a pure business perspective, that was wasteful. Lu smiled slightly, but from a human perspective, it was one of the smartest things you could have done. You built loyalty that transcends economics. That's worth more than silver eventually. Lu closed his ledger and looked Wei Qin directly in the eye. Why are you telling me this? Because in a few years, you'll be powerful enough to force people to work for you, powerful enough to buy loyalty through threats, and I want to make sure you remember that earned loyalty freely given, is better than any threat can purchase. When you reach the capital, you'll meet people who forgot that lesson. They build empires of fear. Those empires break easily. Wei Qin absorbed this. And empires built on loyalty last for generations, survive their founders, create legacies. He met his eyes. That's what I'm building. And I suspect if you're smart, that's what you'll build too. 2 days later, Wei Chen had his monthly sparring session with Feng. The instructor was pleased. Wei Chen's shadow blade technique had stabilized significantly. His combat footwork was sharp. His magical reserves had increased. He could now sustain shadow manipulations for nearly 45 minutes before exhaustion. You've grown, Feng acknowledged after a particularly intense session. Half a year ago, you barely lasted a sparring round. Now you're pushing me. Not successfully. Yet, Feng said, handing Wei Chen water. You won't beat me in a few years either. I have decades of experience. But you might beat younger students who are overconfident. You might survive encounters with advanced mages who underestimate darkness users. That's progress. Wei Chen drank deeply. Half a year of combat training with you. 1 year of magic training with Elder Shen. 4 years until I can join the capital sects. You've calculated this already. I calculate everything. Feng smiled. That's good. Magic users who don't think never reach mastery. They reach power, maybe, but not mastery. Mastery requires understanding not just the what, but the why. What's the why behind Shadow Blade? Control through concealment. You layer shadow over a physical weapon, which does 3 things. First, it amplifies the blade's cutting ability by adding magical edge to physical sharpness. Second, it disrupts magical defenses. They expect magical attacks to form in predictable ways. Shadow Blade breaks those expectations. Third, and most important, it teaches you that magic and physicality work together. Neither is sufficient alone. Most mages think magic solves everything. It doesn't. A skilled fighter with a blade beats a careless mage with power. Always. How do I become both? a skilled fighter, and a powerful mage. You're already doing it. Keep training. But also, Feng paused, seemingly considering something. Start learning about people, how they think, what motivates them, how to read intentions the way that girl Lian Shu reads emotions. Why? Because combat isn't just physical or magical, it's strategic, and strategy requires understanding your opponent. Feng clapped his shoulder. You're learning weapons and techniques. Learn that, and you'll survive fights. But learn people, and you'll win wars without fighting. 1 week later, Wei Chen faced Yun Hao in sparring again. It wasn't a victory, exactly. Wei Chen still lost. But for the first time, he managed to wound Yun Hao. A shallow cut on the arm where Shadow Blade broke through the water defense. Blood bloomed from the cut. Yun Hao yelped in surprise, more than pain. "You actually got me," Yun Hao said, creating a water spear to heal the wound. "That's the first time in 6 months." "Lucky strike," Wei Chen said, but he was breathing heavily, exhausted. "No," Yun Hao examined the healed arm carefully. "That technique you used, Shadow Blade, I think, it bypassed my defense completely. If you'd pushed harder, you could have caused serious damage." After the session, Yun Hao walked with Wei Chen instead of leaving immediately. They moved slowly through the temple grounds, the evening light fading. "You've changed a lot," Yun Hao said. Not accusatory, just observing. "Even in just these past months. More controlled, more dangerous." "Is that good or bad?" "Both," Yun Hao replied. "Good, because you're becoming capable of real combat. Bad, because you're becoming the kind of person who could hurt people. Not by accident, on purpose, if necessary." Wei Chen didn't deny it. "My father warned me about that," Yun Hao continued. "He said power corrupts unless you have something anchoring you to who you want to be. Magic, strength, wealth, those are easy to abuse, harder to use wisely." "What's your anchor?" "Healing," Yun Hao said simply. "My tutor teaches me that every person healed is a responsibility. I can't heal someone and then destroy them later. It violates the fundamental purpose of the magic." They walked in silence for a moment. "What's yours?" Yun Hao asked, finally. Wei Chen thought about his parents, about Lian Shu, about Merchant Liu teaching him that loyalty matters, about Fang teaching him that strategy transcends combat. "My parents," Wei Chen said. "They sacrificed for me. That's a responsibility. And Lian Shu, who helped me when she didn't have to. And Liu and Fang, they're investing in me. I can't waste that investment by becoming someone cruel or reckless." Yun Hao nodded slowly. "That might be enough." "Might be? Only you'll know eventually. When you're powerful enough that nobody could stop you if you wanted to hurt them. That's when you'll find out if those anchors hold." Yun Hao extended his hand. "But I think they will. You're ambitious, Wei Chen, but you're not selfish. That matters." Wei Chen shook his hand firmly. That evening, Wei Chen sat in his room reviewing the past year. 1 year, 12 months, 365 days of work and training and growth. He was 6 years old. He had already accomplished more than many people achieved in entire lives. But the gap between him and true power was still immense. Advanced mages, master-level mages, divine-level mages, entire sects with centuries of accumulated knowledge. He was a child playing with shadows, thinking he understood power. And yet, he had growing magic, growing skill, growing connections, 70 silver, a recovery cloak, a combat instructor, business partners, friends who believed in him, parents who sacrificed for him. Resources were accumulating, Knowledge was accumulating. Opportunity was accumulating. 2 more years of growth in this town, then the capital, then the real journey would begin. Wei Chen closed his eyes, feeling the shadow quartz's resonance, feeling the magic inside him coiling and waiting. 1 year complete, 11 more years ahead. He was ready for what came next, or at least he would be soon.